is Daryl Freeman, Sr. I am a lifelong entrepreneur, and welcome to my channel called Cockpit Conversations. If you are not a subscriber, please feel free to subscribe. If you are a subscriber, hit that like button as many times as you like. As many of you all know, normally I do conversations from the cockpit of my airplane, but today I've decided to do it from my garage, standing around and next to some of my favorite toys. Today I want to spend a few minutes, I got my notes, I want to spend a few minutes talking about why the first million is the hardest to make. Why the first million is the hardest to make. And many of you all know my philosophy. I don't talk about anything that I have not done or experienced. So when I talk about why the first million is the hardest to make, I am talking from experience. If I talk about the many times I have failed over the years, it's because I have failed many times over the years. If I talk about making millions of dollars, it's because I've made millions of dollars. If I talk about creating something from nothing and turning it into a $1 million operation, it's because I've done it. So you can know that when you're tuned in at Cockpit Conversations, I don't talk about anything that I have not done, and I don't talk about any dreams that I have not made come true. And so you can be sure that I will only speak from experience. And the other thing you'll will be ensured of, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I don't have a need to sell you anything. What I do have a need to do is to expose you, to help make you a better person. And oftentimes it's the exposure that we're missing. So why is the first $1 million the hardest to make? Why is the first $1 million the hardest to make? In my case, when I started out as a kid, growing up poor, there were a lot of things that I wanted out of life. I wanted fancy cars. I wanted a big house. All those things I wanted. I wanted nice things. And so when I got my first job, if you will, when I got my hands on my first dollar, like oftentimes we do, the first thing we will do is we'll go out and we'll buy a nice car. Then oftentimes we'll go out and we'll go to a bank and we'll qualify for the most expensive house that we possibly can. And then we'll find ourselves in debt. So one of the reasons why the first million is the hardest to make is because we'll go get in debt early on, buying items that don't generate cash flow. Buying items that don't generate cash flow. See, and then we find ourselves behind the 8 ball because now every dollar that we're making, we're paying off a car note, we're paying off a house note, we're paying off a Visa card, for a vacation that we took for 1 week, but it takes us 2 years to pay it off. And so one of the reasons why the first million is the hardest to make is because we make a bunch of bad financial decisions early, I implore you not to do that. I implore you not to do that. Not to make a bunch of bad financial decisions early, because sometimes those decisions stick with you for a while and make becoming a millionaire difficult because the things that you bought don't generate cash. The second reason why the first million is the hardest is because we don't have a long-term vision or plan. A long-term vision for our financials, for our finances. We don't have a long-term plan for our finances. And so we make a lot of poor decisions day to day because we don't have a long-term vision of how those decisions are going to impact us. We don't have an idea how those long-term decisions are going to impact us long-term. And so making poor financial decisions, not having a vision or a plan. For example, oftentimes what we get is what we spend. What we get is what we spend. We don't plan on saving. We don't plan on investing. We don't have a vision for growing a nest egg. We don't have a vision for a plan for growing savings and investing into the stock market. And so becoming a millionaire is a difficult process. But oftentimes it requires vision. And for me, becoming a millionaire, the first thing you need to do is become a thousandaire. And then the next thing you do is become a 10,000-aire. And the next thing you do is become a 100,000-aire. And so you grow from point to point to point, and you bite off little chunks at a time, but it's going to take a vision and a plan. It's kind of like running a marathon, which I've run 20 plus marathons. I don't set out to go run 26 miles. I set out to go run 1 mile 26 times. And so the vision for becoming a millionaire, you need to have that vision, but you need to break it down into little tiny steps. Break it down into little tiny steps. And that will help you become a millionaire. Break it down in little tiny steps and set little tiny goals and move forward with those. The third reason why becoming the first millionaire is the hardest to get is because we are afraid to take risk on ourselves. We are afraid to take risk on ourselves, whether that's, buying stocks or becoming an entrepreneur. Now, we will take a risk. We'll take $200 or $300 or $1,000 and we'll go to Vegas and we'll bet on the blackjack table. We'll bet on something extremely random in Vegas, but oftentimes we're afraid to bet on ourselves. We'll bet on something completely random, but we'll hesitate to bet on ourselves. The majority of entrepreneurs, think about this, the majority of entrepreneurs, the majority of millionaires are entrepreneurs. The majority of millionaires are entrepreneurs. And so taking risks and becoming an entrepreneur will help you become a millionaire. But it's the third reason why the first means the hardest, because we're afraid to bet on ourselves. And so 20 plus years ago, I bet on myself. I took $2,000 in savings and my wife's credit cards, and I bet on myself. I took the skills that I had directly to the marketplace, grew that company from one person to over 300 people, and 20 plus years later, I sold that company for $23 million. If I did not bet on myself, that first million would still be the hardest. If I did not bet on myself, I implore you to bet on yourself. Not just talking about becoming an entrepreneur, but better get some wisdom and knowledge about different things that you can invest in. Invest in real estate, invest in the stock market, invest in people around you, but bet on yourself. Bet on folks in your circle. Bet on yourself. The fourth reason why I believe entrepreneurship is the hardest is because oftentimes our circle mimics us. And so when I first started, the circle I was in, we were just wanting to make ends meet. We were just wanting a new car. We were just wanting a new house. We wanted to live in a nice neighborhood. We just wanted to provide for our children. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But as I began to progress and move through life, the circle of friends changed. I still have the same friends, but I have more different friends. And those friends, many of them are millionaires. And oftentimes our conversations are about how to make more money, what to invest in, what stocks to buy, where to buy property, what property not to buy. Oftentimes our conversations about how can we make more money so we can be helpful to our community, how we can be more charitable to our community. And so you may need to change your circle of friends and be around some people who think differently about their finances, who are thinking about having a long-term plan and a long-term vision. And so changing your circle of friends, not getting rid of your friends, but just adding new friends to your circle who think differently about finances, who are wanting to be millionaires and multimillionaires. I'm thankful for the friends that I've had all of my life, and I'm thankful for the friends that I have now, my new friends that I have now, who we have like ideas, and we talk about how do we make money. We talk about how do we be more charitable to our community. And we're at a place in our lives now, we're not talking about making money just for the sake of making money. We're talking about making money for the sake of helping other folks. Getting the right friend base, getting the right circle of friends. So that's the fourth reason why the first million is the hardest. Oftentimes we don't have people in our circle who are thinking long-term about their finances, who are not thinking long-term about their finances. And then the last thing is we don't understand the value. We don't understand the value of a dollar. I grew up thinking about all the things having money could buy me. All the things that money could buy my family, all the things that money could buy my friends. I only thought about a dollar in terms of what it would buy me. And so I had to change that mindset because I began to realize that every dollar I saved could become a soldier fighting for me. Every dollar I saved could become a soldier fighting for me. And so every dollar you have has the potential for fighting, potential to fight for you. An example, if you take $10 or $1,000 and you invest it in the stock market, in a dividend stock, those soldiers, those 1,000 soldiers could create 10 new soldiers every year. 10 new soldiers every year. So you got to think of a dollar as a soldier fighting for you. And what I used to do all the time, is I used to kill a lot of soldiers. Now, if you, over a period of time, you get a ton of soldiers fighting for you, you can afford to kill off a few if you like and buy some things that you always want. But make sure that you have enough soldiers fighting for you in your lifetime. And so those are the 5 reasons why I believe the first million is the hardest to make. Number 1, we buy non-cash producing items. Number 2, we have no vision or long-term financial plan for our funds. Number 3, we're afraid to take risks. America's built upon entrepreneurship. Remember that. Everything that you've seen, that you see, touch, and feel was created and made by an entrepreneur. Number 4, our circle does not contain people who are thinking about their long-term financial plans, who are thinking about becoming millionaires or multimillionaires. We've got to change that circle. Keep the same people, some of the same folks, but add people to your circle who are thinking about becoming multimillionaires. And then number 5, we don't understand the value of a dollar. Every dollar is like a soldier fighting for you. Every dollar is like a soldier fighting for you. Save as many soldiers as you can and put them to work to fight for you. And so those are the 5 reasons why I believe the first million is the hardest to make. It was the first million was the first hardest for me to make. And I believe that you can do it. Just follow those, think about those 5 things when you have a dollar or two. And again, thank you for listening in to Cockpit Conversations. I'm Daryl Freeman. Nothing I have said today that I've not experienced. And so continue to tune in to the show. Hopefully I'll get back in the cockpit and do some conversations from there. But for now, we'll be doing it here in the garage for a little while. So again, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe and push the like button as many times as you like. Thank you and have an awesome day. Daryl Freeman.